So for Behold the Devestation, which was our first record, every song was its own little story, which was very much like an Iron Maiden thing, you know?
Mm,
It was like every song was had its own kind of here's the villain or that you want to stay away from, or here's the adventure that we're going on, or you know what I mean? So every song was inspired by something, and and it was all just kind of their own little individual tracks. And that was how I wrote at first. It was each song was a story. And then I heard The Crucible of Man by Iced Earth
mm.
and realized the whole Something Wicked um, sort of, I guess it was a trilogy eventually, but that whole chronicle. And I was like, wait, this is a thing you can do? I was like, oh man, okay. And then of course Operation Mindcrime by Queensryche, and I was just like, oh, I gotta do this. And so that was when we did Demons of the Asteroids, which was our second record, which was
Right.
the worst way to write a concept album. It was
How come? How come?
well, because what we did was it was just I wrote it based on every night. We were all living together at the time, so every night we'd come to the living room and we'd jam. And so we didn't have a living room. We had a jam spot, and then and so Braden would have like a riff, and he'd be like, "I was thinking about this one for the next song," and I'd be like, "Okay, cool. Oh, that sounds like they're going to battle. Like let's make the next song about them going to battle." And I kind of wrote the story around the
Mm,
riffs and how, just kind of where we progressed musically.
sure.
And so it was a lot of fun. And it was a really cool kind of idea having everything be one big story, but there was just zero cohesiveness. And so Time Stand Still was kind of like we were in this really weird transition period, and so it was just like riffs from Braden and riffs from Grant and riffs from Andrew, and it was like just like, oh, and so that one had a very loose theme, which was what it was like to be an independent band on tour in Canada, and I just kind of wrote each song about like a different aspect of that. But then
Mm,
after that, I was like, okay, you guys, like I got an idea, and I actually got it from Soilwork in the way that Bjorn
okay.
wrote the Living Infinite, because what it was Bjorn is the singer, but he also can play guitar, and so he kind of if I read this correctly, because it was like an article that I had read like a million years ago, he kind of wrote the foundation of the whole album from beginning to end himself and was like, this is the story, and this is how it's going to go, and I absolutely loved that record
Mm,
beginning to end. It felt so cohesive and it was all moving in the same direction, and there was never a moment where a song didn't feel like it fit, and there was no like jarring things or it's just kind of like, oh, where does this song come from? And it was just like the perfect listen from beginning to end, and I was like, how do we achieve this? I can't play guitar. I can't write the whole album. So that's what I started doing, the track by track overviews, which is how
mm,
we've written, you know, Apex, Abyss, and Phantoma. So what I would do is I would write each song, each chapter of the story as a song, and just kind of explain it to the boys. Okay, chapter one, this is what's happening in the story. This is how I want the song to sound. This is how I want the listener to feel. This is what should be going on. Here's a song that you can use as inspiration, or like, okay, this one's got to be fast,
okay.
heavy, or this one's got to be four on the floor, or whatever. You know what I mean? And I would send that to the boys, and then we'd all write the album kind of together based on this overview. And that, I think, is when things really turned around because we were just always working together and moving in the same direction when it came to songwriting. So, and then Apex came about, and we were kind of like, yes, okay, we got it now. Let's keep going. And so that was really kind of the moment. Yeah.